Hey guys, my name is Anthony and in today's episode of Track Guide from an Average Player, we're going to be doing Azerbaijan or Baku, so let's get straight into it. The first corner coming off of that long straight, I usually brake at this lamppost here, which is right in front of the 100-meter board. I brake down to third and then try to get the best exit possible, use all the track you can, and then for the second 90-degree turn, I usually use the little side barrier there to judge where I'm going to brake, and then just try to open up DRS as soon as possible, which as usual is ideally on the line. So coming into this turn now, usually brake at the 100-meter board down to third. You can brake as close as you want to that 100-meter board if you dare. Usually I'll probably leave maybe a 10 to 20 meter gap, but yeah, that corner there, I like to brake at the tree and then try to get the best exit possible off of that little chicane section there. And then now we're coming into what's probably one of the hardest corners in the entire calendar, which is turn 8, and usually I brake at the second to last F1 logo there, and I usually brake about 70%, as you've seen in the little clip there. Really, I don't have much of a braking reference there. I tried to see where I was braking in terms of this clip here, because honestly I just winged it, and to be honest it caused a lot of issues when it came to this track. This track was a big struggle for me to get not only a fast lap but just a decent lap in general, in terms of, you know, how clean it was. Every time I was doing something that caused the lap to just be unusable, really. So yeah, pretty much spoke over most of the last sector there, but you've seen where I was braking and what I was doing, and that was a 37.7. I think that's the only time I ever got into the 37 so far around this track, so you can tell it was much of a struggle. But for this episode, you may have noticed something different right now, and that's for the qualifying and race section. I actually did it in cockpit view. Now the reason why I decided to do it in cockpit view was just to spice things up a little bit and show you guys a different perspective. I did turn down the AI from 105 to 100 for this. Main reason was because of how much of a struggle it was for me to actually, you know, get that lap in time trial. But in hindsight, it seemed as if turning it down was actually quite a bad thing to do, because you'll see at the end of the lap just how big of a gap there was between me and second place. So probably could have kept it close to 105 if I wanted to, but it was mainly just because this view, this cockpit cam, isn't something that I usually use, so it did take a while to get used to it, basically. And you may have noticed in this second sector right now that I'm actually using high. Now that's usually, I only usually do that in qualifying. Basically in the race, I think you'll even see in the lap after this, I tend to use no ERS in that little section there, section 2, mainly because in terms of racing, in terms of the actual race itself, there's no real benefit of using ERS there. Obviously in qualifying you want to be as fast as possible, so that's why I was using high. So coming into the end of the lap now, this whole section here is just completely flat out. You don't need to lift off or anything like that. You do need to get the line right though, because it can catch you out. I'm coming up to the line now, opening up DRS, and just wait for it now. You can see that I did actually get pole, as I mentioned earlier, and as you can see from this little image here, it was actually by almost a full second. And note that this time was almost a full second slower than my time trial time as well. So obviously with time trials, you're going to end up being a little bit faster, maybe because you're using a different setup that's more tailored to that. But you know how it is. I think I did use the same setup in time trials than I did in the race, because usually what I do is I'll use my race setup in time trials just to get, you know, an accurate feel for the setup essentially. But coming into this race now, this was the fastest lap, and pretty much same ordeal really for the 5-lap race that I did against the AI. I was basically pulling out a second a lap. So in hindsight, I really could have just turned the AI up, because you know, I was apparently a lot quicker than I thought I was. So yeah, you know, I think it's here. I can't really see because of Sony Vegas. I'm not sure if I am using no ERS in this clip here, but just know that if I am in an actual race, especially a 25 or 50% race for league racing, I most likely would use no ERS in section 2, because there is really no benefit to using it in section 2 if you're in a race. If qualifying, as I said before, you want to be as fast as possible, so you would use higher ERS modes there, as I actually clipped the barrier there. As you can see me checking to see if I actually had wing damage, which luckily I didn't. I always use either full or simulation damage when racing, just so I can get used to it, so that I'm not just crashing into barriers and stuff, because you guys have seen how people are in unranked. But yeah, this is going to be a short episode again, mainly because there's no online clips, and I hope to see you in the next video.
DRS is now enabled and will be available to use when you are within 1 second of the car ahead in the DRS zone.